A few years ago, I went Black Friday shopping, originally planning to go with my mom in the morning. However, I wanted to get some Christmas gifts on sale that I thought might sell out by the next day. So I decided to go shopping on Thanksgiving night by myself and then go again with my mom the next day. After Thanksgiving dinner at a family member's house, I left around 10 p.m. to go shopping. I went to a nearby shopping center with popular stores like Target, Best Buy, and Walmart, all within a mile of each other. When I arrived at Target, it was incredibly busy. I noticed a tall guy with a spiked mohawk among the crowd, hard to miss due to his height and distinctive hairstyle. I pushed through the bustling aisles of Target, weaving through shoppers who seemed as eager as I was to snatch up the best deals. The atmosphere was electric with the buzz of conversation, the beeping of registers, and the occasional excited squeal from someone who had found a particularly good bargain. Despite the chaos, I managed to find a few of the items on my list. As I moved toward the checkout, I spotted the Mohawk guy again. He was hovering near the electronics section, casually glancing at the displays. Our eyes met briefly, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. I quickly brushed it off, attributing my unease to the sheer number of people crammed into the store. After Target, I decided to head to Walmart, which was even busier. The crowds were thicker, and the aisles seemed narrower. I maneuvered through the throngs of people, my cart bumping into other carts and shelves. To my surprise, I saw the Mohawk guy again, standing by the toy section, seemingly engrossed in a display of action figures. Thinking it was a coincidence, I moved on, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling growing in the pit of my stomach. Next, I headed to Best Buy. The store was packed, the noise level almost deafening as shoppers clamored for the latest electronics. As I browsed the rows of gadgets and gizmos, I felt a prickling sensation at the back of my neck. Turning around, I saw the Mohawk guy again, watching me from a distance. When he noticed me looking, he quickly averted his gaze and disappeared into the crowd. My heart rate quickened, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I started to pay closer attention to my surroundings, moving to the opposite end of the store, near the appliances, where it was less crowded. The Mohawk guy appeared again, seemingly out of nowhere. I tried to act normal but kept my distance, my mind racing with possible explanations for his repeated appearances. After getting everything I needed, I decided to leave, feeling increasingly paranoid. As I walked to my car, parked at the back of the lot, I scanned the area for any sign of the Mohawk guy. The cold night air bit at my skin as I hurried across the dimly lit parking lot. I saw the Mohawk guy leaving the store, his silhouette framed by the harsh light of the entrance. I quickened my pace, heart pounding in my chest, and fumbled with my keys, finally managing to unlock my car and slip inside. I locked the doors and started driving home, hoping to put as much distance between myself and the strange man as possible. Soon I noticed an old pickup truck following me. My stomach dropped when I realized it was the Mohawk guy. I called my mom, panicked, and my dad, who was also awake, instructed me to drive around near our house without going directly home. I followed his advice, my hands gripping the steering wheel tightly as I took random turns and doubled back, trying to lose my pursuer. Eventually, my dad got in his truck and met me. As I pulled onto a quiet street, my dad tailed the Mohawk guy, honking his horn repeatedly. The guy eventually sped away, the sound of his engine fading into the distance. We never found out why he was following me, but the experience left me shaken, hoping it would never happen again. The next day, as I went shopping with my mom, I couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of unease, constantly glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see the tall figure with the spiked mohawk lurking in the shadows. Several years ago, I went Black Friday shopping at Walmart. I was interested in several electronics on sale, including video games and possibly a TV. I arrived shortly after the store opened at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving night. The parking lot was packed, and the store was chaotic, with people everywhere, each determined to snag the best deals. Navigating through the sea of frantic shoppers was nearly impossible. After a brief attempt to find what I wanted, I decided it was too crazy and resolved to come back the next day when it might be less crowded. As I returned to my car, I reached for my wallet and realized it was missing. Panic set in as I frantically retraced my steps inside the store, checking every aisle and corner where I had been, but it was nowhere to be found. I asked at the service desk, but they hadn't seen it either. Just as I was about to leave, feeling dejected and anxious, my phone rang. A man on the other end claimed he had found my wallet and wanted to return it to me. He provided an address, and asked me to come by to pick it up. Relieved and grateful, I agreed without thinking twice and drove to the location he mentioned. It was in an isolated area on the outskirts of town, surrounded by dense woods. As I arrived, the sky had already darkened, and the place looked deserted and eerie. My phone buzzed again. It was a text from the man, instructing me to walk into the forest to meet him. A chill ran down my spine as I realized something was terribly wrong. I stayed by my car and texted back, asking him to come to me instead. The silence that followed was unnerving, broken only by the distant rustling of leaves. Suddenly I heard a notification sound coming from within the woods, followed by the sight of a shadowy figure peeking out from behind a tree. Fear gripped me, and my heart pounded in my chest. The figure remained partially hidden, making it difficult to see any details, but I could sense he was watching me intently. Terrified, I jumped back into my car and locked the doors. My hands trembled as I fumbled to start the engine. The figure began to move, slowly stepping out from behind the tree, making his way towards me. Without waiting another second, I slammed my foot on the gas and sped away, my tires kicking up dirt and gravel as I tore down the road. I drove straight home, constantly checking my rearview mirror to make sure I wasn't being followed. Once I was safely inside, I froze all my cards and reported my wallet stolen. The police took my statement and assured me they would investigate, but I knew I had narrowly escaped something potentially very dangerous. The experience left me shaken and paranoid. I couldn't stop thinking about what might have happened if I had walked into those woods. The image of that shadowy figure lurking among the trees haunted my dreams for weeks. From that day on, I vowed to be much more cautious, especially on Black Friday. No bargain is worth risking your safety. I used to work at Target about 5 years ago, primarily on the sales floor, though I was also trained as a cashier. One year I was scheduled to work on Black Friday, which meant starting my shift at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving night. As I clocked in at 5:45 p.m., I noticed the parking lot was already packed, with eager shoppers lining up outside, ready to pounce on the best deals. When the doors finally opened, a flood of people rushed in, creating an immediate sense of chaos. The store quickly became a whirlwind of frantic shoppers, overflowing carts, and the constant buzz of excitement and impatience. Despite the chaos, I managed to find a rhythm, helping customers find items, restocking shelves, and jumping onto a register to cashier whenever needed. A few hours into my shift, a new employee named Michael, whom I hadn't seen before, approached me. He seemed nervous, explaining that he needed help with a situation in the back room. Trusting his sincerity and the sense of urgency in his voice, I followed him. Michael led me through the crowded aisles to the back of the store and then outside to a quiet, dimly lit area. It was unusually secluded, with the sounds of the bustling store fading into the background. As we approached a parked car, I noticed 2 men sitting inside, their faces partially obscured in the shadows. Before I could react, Michael grabbed me, attempting to push me towards the car. Panic surged through me as I struggled against his grip, adrenaline giving me the strength to fight back. I screamed as loud as I could, hoping someone would hear. In a desperate move, I kicked Michael hard enough to break free from his grasp. The 2 men in the car immediately jumped out and started chasing me. My heart raced as I sprinted towards the main parking lot, my mind a blur of fear and determination. Just when I thought they would catch me, a car driving by honked its horn loudly, startling the men. They hesitated, giving me the crucial seconds I needed to reach the entrance of the store. I burst through the doors, breathless and terrified, but safe. Shoppers and employees alike turned to look, confusion and concern on their faces. I quickly found my manager and told him everything. The police were called, and they arrived swiftly, taking my statement and starting their investigation. As it turned out, Michael was not an employee at all. He had disguised himself as one to blend in and carry out the kidnapping. His plan had almost worked, and the realization of how close I had come to being taken was deeply unsettling. The police searched the area but found no trace of Michael or the 2 men. The incident left me shaken for a long time. I couldn't stop thinking about what might have happened if I hadn't fought back or if that car hadn't honked at just the right moment. I was grateful to the anonymous driver who unknowingly saved me and to the police who responded so quickly. That Black Friday shift taught me to always be cautious and to trust my instincts. It was a harrowing reminder that danger can lurk even in the most familiar places, and that we must always be vigilant. From then on, I made sure to be more aware of my surroundings, especially during the hectic holiday season. Last year, I worked at a popular clothing store and experienced my first Black Friday there. I started my shift at 5 a.m., and the store quickly filled with customers, each more eager than the last to snag the best deals. After working the cash registers for a few hours, I moved to organizing items throughout the store, hoping for a bit of relief from the constant stream of transactions. Around mid-morning, a man approached me, asking for a sweater in a medium size. I smiled and led him to the section where the sweaters were displayed. As I searched for the right size, he started asking me questions innocuous at first, but quickly becoming personal. He asked about my name, if I lived nearby, and if I was working the rest of the day. His interest in the sweater seemed to fade as his focus shifted entirely to me. Feeling uneasy, I handed him the sweater and quickly excused myself to help another customer. Throughout the next hour, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Each time I glanced around, I would catch sight of the man lurking in the distance, his eyes fixed on me. His presence was unsettling, and I found myself frequently looking over my shoulder. When my break finally came, I was relieved to escape his gaze. I retreated to the employee break room, hoping to calm my nerves. I told one of my coworkers about the man, and she offered to walk back to the floor with me. When my break ended, I felt a bit more at ease, especially since I didn't see him again for the remainder of my shift. After work, I met up with a friend to do some shopping. The bustling crowds and festive atmosphere helped distract me from the earlier encounter. We grabbed dinner and watched a movie at my place, laughing and enjoying the evening. By the time my friend left, I had almost forgotten about the creepy customer. I went to bed that night feeling exhausted but content. Around 2 a.m., I was jolted awake by a noise outside my window. Groggy and disoriented, I rubbed my eyes and glanced towards the window, and there he was. The man from the store was standing outside, his face pressed against the glass, staring directly at me. Panic surged through me as I bolted from my bed and ran to the bathroom, locking the door behind me. My hands trembled as I dialed 911, my voice shaking as I explained the situation. The operator assured me that help was on the way, but every second felt like an eternity. When the police arrived, they searched the area but found no sign of the man. They took my statement and promised to patrol the neighborhood more frequently. Despite their reassurances, I felt a lingering sense of dread. I covered my windows with thick curtains and tried to calm myself, but sleep was elusive. The next day at work, I shared the incident with my manager, who was very supportive and understanding. They offered to adjust my shifts and ensure I was never working alone. The experience left me wary and on edge, especially with Black Friday approaching again. Every unfamiliar face in the store became a potential threat, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of paranoia. Though I still occasionally work at the store, that night changed me. I am much more cautious now, always aware of my surroundings and wary of anyone who seems too interested. The memory of that man's face at my window haunts me, a constant reminder to stay vigilant and protect myself from those who might wish to do me harm. Last year, I decided to go Black Friday shopping early in the morning for the first time. I had my eye on a new TV that Walmart was offering at an unbeatable price. Eager to snag the deal, I set my alarm for 4 a.m. and bundled up against the cold November air. I arrived at Walmart around 5 a.m., joining a long line of equally enthusiastic shoppers that stretched across the parking lot. The atmosphere was buzzing with anticipation, the air filled with the chatter of bargain hunters and the occasional honk of car horns. As the doors finally opened, a rush of people surged forward, and I was swept along with the crowd. The store was a hive of activity, with shoppers darting in every direction. I quickly made my way to the electronics section, my heart pounding with excitement and a hint of anxiety. The chaos of Black Friday was overwhelming, but I managed to grab the TV I wanted. With my prize secured, I navigated the sea of shoppers to the checkout line, feeling a mix of triumph and relief. The checkout process was hectic but relatively smooth. I paid for my TV and headed towards the exit, the large box awkwardly balanced on my cart. As I stepped outside, the cold air hit me, and I was met with a nearly deserted parking lot. The contrast between the bustling store and the empty lot was jarring, and a sense of unease began to creep in. I made my way to my car, the dark morning still enveloping the surroundings. The streetlights cast long shadows across the asphalt, and my footsteps echoed in the silence. Halfway to my car, I heard another set of footsteps behind me. I turned around quickly, but saw no one. My heartbeat quickened, and I quickened my pace, glancing over my shoulder every few steps. By the time I reached my car, I was in a near panic. My hands shook as I fumbled with my keys, dropping them once in my haste. I felt a presence behind me, growing closer with each passing second. I finally managed to unlock my car, throw the TV into the back seat, and slam the doors shut. I locked the doors and started the engine, my hands trembling as I gripped the steering wheel. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Under a distant streetlight, I saw a shadowy figure standing still, watching me. The figure was too far away to make out any details, but the sight sent a shiver down my spine. The eerie silhouette remained etched in my mind as I sped home, my eyes darting to the mirror every few seconds. I arrived home safely, but the unsettling experience haunted me for days. The figure under the streetlight became a recurring image in my nightmares, a reminder of the vulnerability I felt in that dark parking lot. Since then, I've been much more cautious about early morning shopping trips, especially on Black Friday. The excitement of the deals no longer outweighs the fear that lingers in the back of my mind. To this day, I avoid venturing out alone in the early hours, preferring the safety of daylight in the company of others. The memory of that shadowy figure serves as a constant reminder to stay vigilant and trust my instincts. The thrill of Black Friday bargains has lost its appeal, overshadowed by the eerie encounter that left me shaken and wary. Friends, subscribe and like this video. It will help the channel grow.